Occurred January 19, 2016, 5:45 location, Canby, Indianapolis, Indiana. Shape, light duration, 60 seconds. Characteristics, 6 vertical beams of light in the morning sky. While driving into work, I saw 6 beams of light. I thought it was from the airport at first. But the beams were not only symmetrical, but also directly vertical, not at an angle, such as an airplane taking off and leaving a smoke trail from the earth. Then they all just slowly started to fade out from right to left. It was the strangest thing. The second I got to work, I told my boss about it and he dropped what he was doing and said, "I thought I was the only one to see that this morning."
Occurred the 4th of June 2018, 2302 location, Canby, in shape, light duration, 3 minutes. Me and my father went outside to smoke a cigarette. I immediately spotted a light moving unnaturally. No airplane or satellite moves this fast and smooth. The UFO defied gravity by moving fast in several different directions. I am studying astrophysics at IU and am sure this was no normal airplane. The object looked like a star but brighter. It was observable for a couple of minutes and then after accelerating disappeared.
Occurred July 19, 2019, 2:11 location, Canby, in shape, other duration, 38 minutes to observe. We were having a smoke break from playing COD, and I had to make sure I wasn't the only one seeing it, but it was like a fiery star. Then it came a bit closer, then we realized it was low. Had a lighter pattern of red, orange strobe-like lights, made a triangle with 2 red dim lights side by side in between. And it came a little closer, so I lit up another cig and started my phone light up and swiping my finger over it like Morse code. Then we all went in shock when it literally came our way. Now it was a triangle, a ship. It was low enough to see a faint silhouette. Other reports I read said caught at night near town around highways. And for the size, it was pretty quiet, like a hum. Not Lime drones where it sounds like a cart and bike spokes. But when we first observed, it was so slow, Lime a halt. But when it finally came directly overhead towards Indianapolis, it was moving at a slow pace. Just under the close but over the trees. So, we conversed for a few, then realized here comes another, then it reared around, then got back on the same path. This happened 3 times. Now you can hear an airline way up in the air, so small. These were not as big as a commercial airline but not private jet small. Then we realized there were 2 more, maybe 10 miles apart in the distance, fading eye, and out of clouds. Then the last one we caught maybe W minutes, but it had 3 very bright white lights flashing through its center. Now I'm aware it was not a triangle ship. Theirs was a jet-like streamline to it. But what shuttles that big, that low, not emit more sound? Or even fly that low? And they were not in the shape of the retired F-117s. My grandfather works at the Shepherd Air Force Base as an engineer. So I have seen most planes. I just want to know if there is anyone else that has witnesses this, and if it strokes their curiosity as much as it did mine. My friends just acted like it's a normal thing.
Occurred 2100 2000 location, Indianapolis, Indiana. Shape, light duration, 30 to 45 minutes. Characteristics: there was an aura or haze around the object. The object emitted other objects. Unfortunately, I do not remember the date. I was on my web TV and it was around 9 o'clock to 10 p.m. I saw white glowing lights shooting through the sky. It was not an airplane nor a spotlight. The lights were coming 2 at a time and then a third. They would stop for about 45 seconds or so. I took out my binoculars but couldn't tell what it was. It was cloudy and the lights were bright enough to see through the clouds. I was online at the time and described it to my support group members. However, I told no one else but my husband, who was sleeping at the time. I was not a believer in UFOs, but this has left me deeply disturbed. I remember it was around the beginning of the new year 2000.
Occurred, June 15, 1963, 2200 Location, Indianapolis, Indiana. Shape, disc duration, 5 minutes. Characteristics, there were lights on the object. Low-flying huge disc spotted in Indianapolis, Indiana, 1963, by a group outside at dark. A small group of neighborhood teenagers were outside in the early evening just talking and hanging out. All of us spotted a rotating object approaching low but with no sound. It stopped directly over us. It had green lights revolving around it, hovered, and then sped off. I was 17 years old, now retired and living in Colorado. This has bothered me for 56 years. One of the other people who saw it became my husband several years later, is an MD and very high up in the Air Force when he retired. We reported this to the Indianapolis airport and was told we probably saw nothing. This was definitely not a joke to us, scared us all pretty badly. I was an educator for 30 years, all of our group became professional people. From that day forward, I became a complete believer in UFOs as I witnessed one and will never forget it.
Occurred, September 15, 1965, 1500 Location, Indianapolis, Indiana. Shape, egg duration, 20 seconds. Characteristics, there were lights on the object. Zigzagging egg in daytime. It was early fall 1965, late afternoon, and we had just had some rain. The rain had stopped and dark grey clouds were scudding overhead. My parents went outside with my sister and for some reason I was still in the house. As I was going through the dining room area to get to the back door, I passed a window looking toward the east. Something caught my eye in the sky over some trees. It appeared to be an egg-shaped object that was emitting its own brilliant light source. Not silver but like an egg-shaped light bulb in the sky. It really stood out against those grey clouds. It was coming toward where I was watching it out the window and it was really moving. At first the movement of it really puzzled me because it was going back and forth advancing toward me until I realized that it was in a zigzag motion horizontally while flying. Then the object streaked out of the window space while making a sharp turn toward the west where I lost sight of it. I burst out the back door and caught a very quick look at it as it went through the sky at an incredible speed through a break in the trees. This object crossed a large part of the sky in just a blink of an eye and made absolutely no sound. No plane or jet could do that back then or now and be lit up like this thing was. Of course I just happened to be passing the window when I saw it, but since it made no sound, my family, who were outside at the time, missed it completely because there was no reason to look up.
Occurred, August 20, 1966, 1 o'clock Location, Indianapolis, Indiana. Shape, light duration, 25 minutes. Red light in tree in August, 1966. I was a 17-year-old high school girl. Me, my younger sister and mother and father had gotten up early on this August day, 1 a.m., to pack up our car to start a weeks-long vacation trip out west through 7 states. As we were packing up the trunk of our 1963 Chevy, something caught my eye in the yard next to ours. Back then the yard to the left of our house had a large apple tree growing in it. Now I never would have even glanced at the blackened yard or tree. But what caught my attention immediately was a small red orb just sitting there halfway up in the tree facing our driveway. The red light did not reflect on the leaves. It was a dull red color. Well, when I saw that light, the hairs went up on the back of neck and I was immediately spooked. And I think everyone knows when they are seeing something that is unnatural and shouldn't be there. And because I was a kid and my father was packing up the car with military precision, I didn't say anything about it while we were finishing up loading the car. As we were backing up the darkened driveway, I was so frightened I didn't look at the light, but I knew it was still there. After about 20 minutes of driving, we got out on the highway and I said to my mom, "Did you see that light in the tree?" She said, "Yeah, I saw that. What was it?" She added that maybe it was the light up on top of the telephone pole. Back then the poles had glass transformers on top, and when they had an overload they would turn red. Well, I thought maybe that was it and forgot about it. When we returned from our trip a week later, I looked at the tree and the spot where the light had been was just about 5 feet above my head. The transformer is about 20 feet away from the tree and 25 feet above it. So that could not have been the explanation. Since this happened, I have read that sometimes UFOs send down small red balls or orbs, and maybe they're observation things. It sure did look like it was watching us, and we interrupted whatever it was up to. And I know this light did not belong in that tree. I never saw anything like that ever again.